Right, so the other day, both me and my client were sleeping. We're both the same time zone, Italian time zone. And when we woke up in the morning, we literally opened up our phone and saw the notification of a 9.3k USD PIF coming through. And now that's pretty much normal. That's like the second or third PIF that we got overnight, just like that. Because that's simply what happens when you position yourself as an industry in your niche, okay? And what I learned throughout this whole period is that most coaches are self-commoditizing themselves without even realizing it, right? They're copying their competitors' content, posting the same reels, using the same framework, saying the exact same things as the other 10,000 coaches in their niche, right? And then they sit there wondering why they're stuck at 10, 20, maybe even 30 if they're lucky, with unpredictable months, okay? Now, the truth is, if you sound like everyone else, you are everyone else. And if you are everyone else, the only way to compete is on price, and that means that you become a commodity and you'll never be able to charge 5, 10, 15k just like my clients do, okay? And that's why we're so deep into making sure that every single one of our clients becomes an industry leader through their story, because that's their competitive advantage. We're both busy, we're both business owners, so just let's get into it, okay? Now, I have a full presentation. I'm so excited to share. You have no idea. Let me just adjust my camera and then we'll get into the really good value, okay? I'm so excited, I swear. So the info space market right now is literally huge. There are so many people trying to sell the same exact stuff. There are tens of thousands of coaches teaching the same frameworks, the same strategies, the same step-by-step processes. And the chances are that probably you're one of these guys here, okay? You're stuck at 10, 20, maybe even 25, 30k per month, but that's inconsistent, and and it will probably go down, okay? Now, you gotta realize that the information itself is no longer the differentiator, okay? Everyone has access to the same exact knowledge. So, if the information is the same, what actually separates you from everyone else? And there are two things that are gonna do it and that are gonna make you so much money. Now, who you are and how you say it, okay? Let me just make an example so you can understand it better. Now, let's say we have a coach, Coach A, and we have Coach B, okay? Both selling the same exact stuff, same exact frameworks, same exact offer, same everything, okay? Now, we have this Coach A, and him in his content, he says stuff like, you need to handle objections, build rapport, close with urgency, do this and that. But then we have sales coach B that makes an analogy, and he says something like, selling is like spotting someone at the gym. You don't lift the weight for them, you guide them to lift it themselves, okay? And you gotta realize that it's the same concept, but it makes a completely different impact. You know, Coach B's explanation sticks, it gets shared, it gets referenced in conversations, and that's what matters in the online space right now. Now, I made a mistake here, but what happens is that this is Coach A and this is Coach B. Coach B, just because his stuff sticks way more in people's minds, he's gonna get way more market share, even if they're selling the same exact stuff, okay? Maybe Coach A is even better, right? But Coach B makes content that sticks, okay? Makes content that is different, right? And this is why creativity and your unique way of explaining things is the backbone of your business. People do not remember what you taught them, especially now there are so many people in this space, but what they remember is the stories, the analogies, the moments where something clicked for them. And your story creates those moments in a way that generic content will never ever be able to. And you gotta understand this in order to have a 100k per month coaching offer, right? Now, when someone hears your breaking point story and thinks, well, this is exactly how I feel right now, this is exactly what I'm feeling, what I'm going through, it's over. They're not gonna compare you to other coaches anymore, but they are emotionally and invested in you specifically. And that's when you're gonna be able to make so much money. Your fulfillment is gonna be literally packed with people. And this is stuff that 90% of the people in the info space are not gonna teach you. Because a lot of people are bullish on, oh well, have this funnel, oh well, implement this DM setting process or whatever it could be, but what actually matters is standing out in your market first, okay? The coaching industry does not buy what you teach, they buy how you explain it, and more importantly, they buy who is explaining it. Okay, your story is what makes you the only logical choice for someone when they're looking to buy into a mentorship, a program, or whatever it could be. Okay, so now that you really understand how a personal brand works, let's get into section 2. Now, the self-commoditization trap. And this is exactly how most coaches are unknowingly destroying their own value. Now, what happens probably when you're trying to have content ideas, when you're looking for content ideas, or you don't really know what to post, is you see a competitor post a reel and it does decently well. Like it might get 50k views, he might get him some followers or whatever it could be, it might get good engagement. So what you do is you see his reel, you think, oh well, let me adapt it. And so you then copy their hook, their editing, the structure. And by the way, like everything that I'm gonna give you now is literally stuff that I'm taking from my own agency's model that people pay me thousands of dollars just to get access to, okay? But then what happens when you have this thought process here, you're gonna look like 50 other coaches and you don't even realize it, okay? Because you think that just because an idea worked, you should replicate it. And without you even realizing it, you look like all the other people in your niche. And what that creates on the prospect's end is that they're gonna scroll their feed and see the exact same message packaged in 10 different ways, and they cannot tell the difference between you and your competitors. And that's exactly when everything goes downhill. You do not want this to happen, because then there's nothing unique about your positioning, right? There's nothing that makes you stand out, okay? You're just another option in a sea full of options, okay? This is the whole market, this is you, nothing differentiating you, okay? And when prospects cannot differentiate you on value, that's the most logical thing to do, is default to price. That's exactly what everyone does. Even if I have the money, if I see a bottle of Coke that costs $150 and another one the exact same that costs $450, I'm obviously gonna go for the $150 one because I wanna save up, even if I do have the money. That's the most logical thing to do. That's how human brains work, okay? You're forced to a race to the bottom, and you do not want this to happen because you cannot charge premium because you have not established premium positioning, right? You're never gonna be able to charge premium pricing like 5, 10, 15k simply because there's always gonna be someone cheaper in your market, right? Now let me make another example. Again, we have Coach A and Coach B, same exact guys. We have Trading Coach A and Trading Coach B. Now, the Coach A posts a video or whatever it could be teaching the exact 3-step trading strategy that makes me 40k per month. But then you have Trading Coach B posting the same exact thing. And the prospect sees all those 2 videos and thinks, well, they're all the same. Well, who's the cheapest? Who's the cheapest guy? Because obviously they don't see any difference in this. And that's average when you compete on price, okay? And that means that you're cooked, that you're never gonna be able to scale to the numbers that you wanna scale to, okay? But then we have another coach that is Coach C, and he posts a video saying how my breaking point in a $2 motel room led to the trading system that now generates 40k per month, okay? That's a story. You see the difference there? That's different. That's memorable. That's something that you're gonna remember way more than the 3-step framework that makes me X amount of money. And it's not because of anything crazy, because there are so many people posting the same videos that you're obviously gonna remember the only one that sticks to your mind. You're gonna remember the guy that directly called out your problems, okay? And that's how people connect in the first point, okay? And when you copy competitors, you're not just building a brand, you're building a commodity. And commodities compete on price, they do not compete on value. Your story is the thing that breaks you out of that trap permanently. That's the number one thing that is gonna make you stand out and make you a fuck ton of money. I'm not gonna hold back anything here. Now let's get into the good stuff, how you can actually leverage your personal story to make over 100k per month with your coaching business and scale up, okay? Now, the definition of personal brand is the unique expression of your values, your morals, and your personality. It's these stories only you can tell because only you live them. It's the way you see the world and explain complex ideas. It's the journey you went through that shaped how you help people today, okay? And here's why your story is gonna be credentials every single time, right? Credentials are logical and story is emotional. People make buying decisions emotionally and justify them logically. That's how your brain operates, okay? Okay, so let's say that point A is where they are right now. They don't really know who you are, they don't really know what you do, and you have a whole bridge here, okay? Which is your story. Your story is gonna bring them from point A to point B, which is gonna be complete buyer giving you 5k, 10k without even hesitating, okay? Your story creates the emotional connection that makes them wanna work with you. That's the best thing in the world. Again, let me make another example. Coach A, Coach B, you know the drill here at this point, right? They have the same offers, same results, same framework, okay? You have Coach A that says, oh, I've helped 50 plus traders scale past 50k per month using my proven system. But then you have Coach B that says, oh well, I blew my first 3 founder accounts in 60 days. I slept in my car for 2 weeks because I was too embarrassed to tell my parents I would fail, and that rock bottom moment forced me to figure out what actually works. Which one are you gonna remember the most and is gonna resonate with you the most if you actually went through the same exact pain? Coach B's story creates instant connection with every trader who has blown accounts and felt that same exact shame. That's why knowing your ideal client profile and knowing who you're targeting is so important, and that's why you always want to go really deep into actually targeting your audience. Because yeah, sure, you might be leaving out some of the other market that you're not targeting, and you're literally leaving one guy out of 9 people that actually resonate with you, and those 9 people are gonna have a way higher buying intent, okay? And that's your unfair advantage, because your competitors can copy your offer structure, they can copy your brand, they can copy your content, they can copy everything from you, but they cannot copy your story. That's the one thing that they cannot take away from you. That's your mode. That is something that they can never ever take, okay? And that is your advantage that is gonna help you stand out in a market, okay? Now, after studying how dominant personal brands operate and working with coaches scaling to multi-million-dollar months, because I did work on those offers, I started noticing a pattern. And that was not casual, by the way. Every single dominant personal brand uses the same 4 story elements, but we want to do it in a strategic way that mirrors our prospects' exact journey. We're not doing it in a casual way where you're just telling your story, because that's not gonna work, but you wanna resonate your story and relate your story to who you're speaking to is going through at the moment, okay? Now, you want to extract these 4 events from your own life and turn them into content, and you're gonna pretty much have your pre-sold prospects before they even speak to a closer, okay? Now, you want to take these 4 moments, and these are your business origin, your toughest roadblock, your I made it moment, your screw this moment. Make sure you're taking notes, because this is so valuable. This is something that 90% of the people don't talk about, okay? Now, your business origin, that creates relatability. You want to say how you actually got started, and this creates relatability. The prospect thinks, oh well, he was exactly like me when he started out. You want to talk about how you started doing what you're teaching, how you got into trading, how you got into e-com, how you got into real estate, whatever it could be. Your I made it moment, so your first real breakthrough, and this creates aspiration. And they're gonna think, well, if he did it, so can I, okay? Then you want to speak about your toughest roadblock, which is the ceiling that you hit after initial success. And this is going to create empathy. And your prospect is going to think, oh well, he understands my exact pain. Then you're through this moment, your rock bottom breaking point, and this creates emotional connection. And they're going to think, oh well, that's exactly how I feel right now. Now, your origin mirrors where they are now, your roadblock mirrors what they're facing now, your breaking point mirrors how they feel right now, and your I made it moment shows them where they want to go and proves that this is genuinely possible. And by the time someone has consumed content covering all 4 events, they are pre-sold. And this is why having a YouTube video that then you can chop up into clips, just talking about your story and talking about those 4 things, making it relatable, is so important. Like, that's what I do pretty much with every single one of my clients. One post talking about their story, one reel that is pinned talking about their story, one YouTube video that is on the homepage, the first video that actually shows up talking about their story. Okay, and if you want the framework on that, just DM me on IG or on X. I got you, I'll send it over. But obviously this is pretty much like stuff that we script for our clients. So if you're a coach or a consultant and you want to scale to those bigger numbers like 50, 70, 100k per month, just booking a call through the link below. But let's go back to the video. Now, these 4 points are the psychological bridge between where your prospect is and where they want to be. You lived through all 4 stages. You are the living proof that this stuff works, okay? Now, I don't have an A to Z presentation on this simply because it wasn't planned, but because I usually keep this stuff private, but simply because I'm so much in flow state. Just want to drop so much value, and I want to have a huge impact in this space. Let me actually tell you A to Z how to personal brand every single one of these moments, like what you should talk about, why it matters, what you should take out, what you should speak, literally. Okay, so let's talk about the life event number one, which is the business origin. Okay, this is the story of how you actually got started in this industry, and people don't want to hear the polished version. Okay, they want to hear the real version with the confusion and the struggle. What were you doing before you got into this space? What made you even think, oh well, maybe I should try this out? And it could be because you were so broke you couldn't afford food, or whatever it could be. What did you not know when you started that seems so obvious now? And you always wanna break this down, and it matters so much because your ICP is probably in the same exact spot you were when you started. Okay, let's say that you were working at a 9 to 5 before you got into trading. Let's say that you're a trading coach. Well, you wanna literally make them feel and talk about that pain that you were feeling at your 9 to 5 of being stuck, of having a ceiling, of being trapped into a life that you hated. Now, when you share what you didn't know, they see themselves in your story, and this is gonna remove the imposter syndrome. Oh well, he didn't know what I don't know either, he was just like me. They're gonna stop thinking, oh well, I'm too far behind, and they're gonna start thinking, well, if he figured it out, so can I, okay? Now, the life event number two, your I made it moment. You wanna talk about your first major breakthrough, when everything finally clicked for you, and you don't wanna speak about your current success like your 100k months or whatever it could be, but you want to speak about your first significant win. And this could be your first 10k month, your first big client, your first successful launch. But it needs to be big enough to be impressive, but realistic enough to be believable. Because if you only share your current success, and I'm talking about maybe making 50k a month from trading, 50k a month from ecom, being so jacked, it doesn't matter, but that feels unattainable, and prospects are gonna think, oh well, that's cool for you, but I cannot get there. And that's the limiting belief. But your first win is gonna be so relatable because they're gonna think, oh well, he made his first 10k month in his first 6 months. I can see myself doing that too. Okay, let's get into the life event number 3, which is your toughest roadblock, and this is the biggest challenge that you faced after your initial success. And I'm not talking about beginner struggles, but the ceiling that you hit when you thought you figured everything out. And this could be revenue plateau, team underperformance, burnout, capacity limit, whatever it is. Okay, but this is exactly where your ICP is stuck right now, because you do not want to target complete beginners unless it's a brand new B2C offer. Obviously, if it's a more of a B2C offer teaching a business model, you want, but you want to talk about your struggles going against what other gurus are teaching. Okay, so let's say that you're a trader. Simply because I make so many examples about trading because my clients are traders mainly, so that's the most experience I have in. But let's say that in your story you used to trade ICT and it didn't work. Well, you want to go against that. Well, I studied months of ICT trading, I started making my first money, but then I lost it all because the strategy was bad. And that's something that the people in your audience are going through at the moment. Okay, when you share your roadblock that mirrors theirs, they're gonna think, oh well, this guy really gets it, and this creates empathy at a level that other stories cannot touch. Now, for the last live event, which was the screw this moment, this is the moment that you hit rock bottom and something inside of you just snapped. Not just like things were hard, but you want to go really, really deep into it. That's like the moment where you couldn't take it anymore. And this is gonna be deeply emotional, raw, uncomfortable to share, but it's literally the most powerful for connection. Okay, and this is different from your roadblock, because the roadblock is the problem, like stuck at X amount or struggling with this, but the breaking point is how that made you feel. That's your feeling, and people buy on emotion and justify with logic, and that's why that's so powerful, because this creates the emotional connection that is gonna close those high ticket deals for you. Okay, now you pretty much have the A to Z blueprint on how to be different from every other coach in your market. So look, if you're serious about building a story-driven brand that positions you as the authority in your space, and you do not want to waste another 4 months figuring this out, and you're a coach stuck at 10, 20, 30K per month, but you just don't know how to scale. You have unpredictable months. You know that you could be making way more money, but you just don't know how or don't have the time. Or if you're simply a creator with an audience, but you simply don't know how to monetize it, just book in a call through the link below. It's 100% free. On that call, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna audit your current situation and give you a clear roadmap to your goals, okay? It's 100% free, and that call is probably gonna be way better than 99% of paid programs out there, because I don't even care about working with you on that call, but genuinely the goal that I set for myself is just to have an impact in this space. I'm all about giving out value. I don't care about the money anymore. I'm not at that point. I genuinely just want to have the biggest impact in this industry. So if you're interested, just book a call. If you're still not ready for a call yet, either DM me on IG, or I have a fire YouTube video that I'm gonna link in the description, so make sure you check that one out. So apart from that, appreciate you so much for checking out this video, and see you in the next one.